Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive.
Yeah, this one should be really helpful, I think.
We're going to be talking all about how to succeed in the Swedish job market.
Specifically for those who are new to Sweden.
Yeah, that's kind of our target audience here.
We've got a lot of great information to share.
We've been digging into a bunch of resources from Arbetsförmedlingen.
That's the Swedish Public Employment Service.
Right, and they've got articles and podcasts and transcripts all about job hunting and interviews and even social codes.
Oh, and don't forget about the regional opportunities.
Oh, yeah, those are important too.
We're going to cover all of that today.
Absolutely. Our mission is to give you the inside scoop on landing a job in Sweden.
We want to give you the practical tips and tricks to not just get a job, but really thrive in your career.
Yeah, so let's jump right in.
Okay.
Let's talk about job interviews.
Ah, yes. The dreaded job interview.
No matter where you are in the world, they can be nerve-wracking.
Definitely. But preparation is key.
If you prepare well, you'll be much less nervous.
That's true. One of the most common questions, and one that often throws people off, is, tell us about yourself.
Ugh, I hate that question. It's so open-ended.
It's like, where do I even begin?
Right. A whole life story.
Haha. Not quite. Think of it more as your elevator pitch.
Okay.
Give them a quick snapshot of your skills and experience.
Keep it professional, but show some personality.
Exactly. They're hiring a person, not just a resume.
Right. So find that balance between qualifications and who you are.
Another common question is, which of your previous experiences can you use in this job?
Oh, that's a tough one, especially when you're in a new country.
Yeah, it feels like you're starting from scratch.
Like, none of my experience counts.
But that's not true at all. Just living abroad shows you're adaptable
Oh, yeah, that's true.
and resilient, and most likely you have some language skills.
Those are super valuable in today's global job market.
They really are.
So don't discount any of your experiences.
Even things like volunteer work or hobbies or managing a household.
It all counts.
It all involves skills that employers want: planning, problem-solving, communication.
I never thought of it like that.
Arbetsförmedlingen has some great advice on how to showcase those transferable skills.
They do. They go into a lot of detail.
It's great.
One thing they emphasize is using specific examples.
Oh, yeah. Instead of just saying, I'm a great multitasker.
Give a concrete example, like in my previous role, I managed multiple projects at the same time, which led to such and such positive outcome.
That's much better. It paints a picture for the interviewer.
It shows them how your skills translate into real-world results.
Speaking of real-world results, did you know that 75% of available jobs in Sweden are never publicly advertised?
Wait, what 75% are we talking about, the hidden job market here?
We are.
So like all those hours I spend on job boards.
Could be a waste of time.
Well, not a complete waste, but...
You could be missing out on most of the opportunities.
Okay, so how do I tap into this hidden job market?
Networking, my friend.
Networking.
It's all about connecting with people online and offline.
Letting them know you're looking.
Exactly. You never know who might have a lead.
Or hear of an opening before it's even posted online.
Use your existing network. Reach out to people on LinkedIn. Go to industry events.
Even just casual conversations.
You never know.
That reminds me of something I read in one of the Arbetsförmedlingen resources.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
There was a story about a guy named Per,
Okay.
and he actually got several jobs by just walking straight into businesses with his CV.
Wow. Talk about initiative.
I know, right? He bypassed the whole online application process.
He went straight to the source.
And it worked. He got the jobs.
That's pretty amazing.
It just shows you have to be proactive and put yourself out there.
Sometimes you have to create your own opportunities.
Okay, so we've talked about job interviews and the hidden job market.
What else is there?
Well, there's one more thing that's crucial for success in Sweden.
I think I know what you're going to say.
Understanding Swedish workplace culture.
Ah, yes. Like learning a secret language.
It really is. These unspoken rules and social codes can make or break your experience.
Definitely you need to be culturally fluent.
What are some of the key things to keep in mind?
Well, first of all, eye contact.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
In Sweden, it's a sign of respect and engagement.
But in some cultures, it can be considered rude.
That's true. So you have to be aware of those differences.
Okay.
Personal space Swedes value their personal bubble.
So no back patting or hugging?
Not really. Keep a bit of distance during conversations.
Okay.
What about punctuality?
Punctuality is crucial in Sweden. Time is precious.
So be on time.
Yes, and if you're going to be late, even by a few minutes, communicate clearly and apologize.
Okay, makes sense. What about fika?
Ah, fika, the legendary Swedish coffee break.
More than just a coffee break, though, right?
It's a social custom, a chance to connect with colleagues informally.
Chat about non-work-related things, build camaraderie.
Exactly, so don't skip out on fika
It's not just about the caffeine, it's about building relationships.
and integrating into the workplace culture.
Okay, fika, it is.
Good. Now let's talk about something a little different. Okay, what's that?
Regional opportunities, specifically northern Sweden.
I've heard there are a lot of jobs up north,
There are, especially in the green economy.
but it's also pretty remote, right?
That's a common misconception.
It is.
In one of the podcast transcripts, we listened to a guy named Adam talked about moving to Kiruna in northern Sweden.
Kiruna.
That's way up north.
I've heard of it.
Adam had all these preconceived notions about life up there.
Like what, polar bears roaming the streets?
Pretty much he thought it would be freezing cold all the time.
And snow up to his knees?
But when he got there, he found a vibrant, community-friendly people and a much milder climate than he expected.
Wow, so it just goes to show you how our perceptions can be shaped by stereotypes.
Exactly. You have to do your research and talk to people who have firsthand experience.
Northern Sweden has a lot to offer.
It does incredible natural beauty, a strong sense of community, and a unique lifestyle.
And it's not just for highly educated professionals.
Nope. There are jobs for people with all sorts of skills and experience.
From engineers and technicians to construction workers, healthcare providers, and service industry workers.
Everyone is needed.
If anyone's interested in northern Sweden, Arbetsförmedlingen has a dedicated website.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
Arbetsförmedlingen.senior.
Great resource.
It has job listings, relocation tips, information on different regions, and even details on vocational training programs.
Fantastic.
Okay, so now let's address something that I think a lot of people are worried about.
What's that?
Job security.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
Especially with all the advancements in technology.
Artificial intelligence in particular.
Yeah, it feels like robots are going to take over our jobs.
It's a valid concern, but technology also creates new opportunities.
That's where career change comes in.
Exactly.
Changing careers can feel daunting, though.
It can, especially if you've been in the same field for a long time.
You feel like you're starting from scratch.
But you're not.
But you're not.
Arbetsförmedlingen has a ton of resources on exploring different career paths,
You do.
identifying your transferable skills, and finding training programs,
That align with your interests.
and the demands of the evolving job market.
So you don't have to start from zero.
Not at all. You have wealth of knowledge and skills from your previous career.
And from life in general.
Exactly. Those transferable skills are more valuable than you realize.
That's a good point.
Arbetsförmedlingen has some great examples of people who have successfully changed careers.
Like what?
There was one about a flight attendant who transitioned into a career in HR.
Oh, wow.
Her experience dealing with people handling difficult situations and providing excellent customer service were all transferable skills that made her a perfect fit for a people-centric role.
That's amazing.
She didn't even have to go back to school for years
She just leveraged her existing skill.
and found a way to apply them in a new context.
That's really inspiring.
And then there's the story of the Syrian lawyer.
Oh, yeah. What about him?
He was unable to practice law in Sweden.
Because of the different legal system?
Right. So he reinvented himself as a successful business consultant.
Wow.
His legal expertise, combined with his cultural understanding and entrepreneurial spirit, allowed him to create a new path for himself,
That's incredible. It shows that career change is possible.
even when faced with seemingly insurmountable obstacles.
So if you're feeling stuck or anxious about your current job,
Take heart.
there are resources available to help you explore new possibilities.
And make a successful transition.
Arbetsförmedlingen has some great online tools that can help.
They do. One is called Intresseguiden, which means interest guide.
What does that do?
It's a questionnaire that helps you identify professions that align with your interests.
Oh, that's cool.
It's great for people who know they want to change but aren't sure where to start.
That's really helpful.
And then there's Hedda Yrken, which means find professions.
What does that one do?
It provides detailed information about different professions.
Like what kind of information?
The skills required, the typical work environment, the education or training needed.
It's like a sneak peek into different career paths.
Exactly.
But even with all these online tools,
There's no substitute for human connection.
networking.
Yes, talking to people who are already working in fields you're interested in can give you invaluable insights.
Those informal conversations, the insider tips.
You can't find that online.
So informational interviews, shadowing, attending industry events.
All valuable ways to gain real-world knowledge.
And make connections that could open doors you never knew existed.
Exactly. And remember, even if you're not actively looking for a new job right now,
You should still be networking.
Absolutely. It's never too early to start exploring your options and building those relationships.
The job market is constantly changing.
So it's important to be prepared and stay ahead of the curve.
Great advice. Okay, so we've talked about showcasing your skills and experience,
Yes.
but what about the little details that can make a big difference in an interview?
You mean like what to wear and what to bring?
Exactly.
Arbus for Meddling has some practical tips on that.
They do.
In their article, The Job Interview,
Okay.
for example, they suggest planning your outfit in advance.
So no last-minute wardrobe crises.
Right. You want to look professional but also be comfortable.
Makes sense.
They also recommend bringing copies of your CV and personal letter.
Even if you already submitted them electronically,
Yes.
it shows you're prepared.
And it gives the interviewer something tangible to refer to.
And guess what else they suggest?
What's that?
Bringing a notepad and pen?
Really? Is that still a thing?
It is. It shows you're engaged and serious about the opportunity.
You can jot down questions or key points.
Anything you want to remember?
I wish someone had told me that for my first few interviews.
Well, now you know.
And one last tip from Arbitz for Medlingen.
What's that?
Map out the route to the interview location beforehand.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
No getting lost or showing up flustered and late.
Exactly.
Okay? What if you're feeling nervous during the interview?
It's totally normal to be nervous.
It is.
The key is to not let it take over.
Easier said than done. I know, but Arbitz for Medlingen actually suggests acknowledging your nerves to the interviewers.
Really?
It shows honesty and self-awareness.
And it can help break the ice.
Exactly. It creates a more relaxed atmosphere.
Okay, so don't be afraid to say, I'm a little nervous.
Exactly. And remember to pay attention to your body language.
Make eye contact, sit up straight, actively listen.
All those things convey confidence and engagement.
Okay, what about after the interview?
What do you mean?
That waiting period can be agonizing.
It can be, but instead of just stressing out,
Use that time productively.
right, Arbitz for Medlingen suggests reflecting on the interview.
Oh, that's a good idea.
What did you do? What could you improve on?
Turn the waiting time into a learning opportunity.
Exactly. And if you don't hear back by the agreed upon time,
Follow up.
yes, send a polite email or make a phone call.
Never hurts to reiterate your interest.
And even if you don't get the job,
Ask for feedback.
exactly, it can be valuable for future interviews.
So even in rejection, there's an opportunity for growth.
That's a great way to look at it.
Okay, so before we wrap up,
Yes.
there's one more concept I want to share with you.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
It's a Japanese concept called ikigai.
Ikigai. I've heard of that, but I'm not sure I really know what it means.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain.
It's often translated as a reason for being.
Or a reason to get up in the morning.
It's about finding that sweet spot.
Where your passions and your skills and what the world needs and what you can be paid for all come together.
It's like finding the perfect job,
The one you love that you're good at, that makes a difference.
and that pays the bills.
That sounds pretty idealistic.
It might be, but striving for Ikigai can make your job search more meaningful.
It's not just about getting any job,
It's about finding a fulfilling career.
one that gives you a sense of purpose.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about finding the right job.
We have, but what about actually getting hired?
What do you mean?
Like, are there any common mistakes people make during the job application process?
Oh, yeah. Definitely one big one is not tailoring your CV and cover letter to each specific job.
So no generic applications.
No, take the time to highlight these skills and experiences that are most relevant to the job description.
You have to show the employer why you're a good fit for that particular role.
Exactly. And don't neglect your online presence.
Oh yeah, that's important these days.
A lot of employers check social media profiles as part of the screening process,
So make sure your LinkedIn is up to date.
and that your other social media accounts don't raise any red flags.
Nothing embarrassing.
And another thing,
What's that?
proofread everything carefully.
Spelling and grammar errors can make a bad impression.
They really can always have someone else look over your application materials.
A fresh pair of eyes can catch those mistakes.
Definitely. Okay, let's go back to job interviews for a minute.
Okay,
We talked about preparation,
we did.
but are there any specific tips for different types of interviews?
Like panel interviews versus one-on-one interviews.
Yes. For panel interviews, make sure to address all the interviewers when you answer questions.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Make eye contact with each person.
Don't just focus on the person who asked the question.
Right. You want to show that you're engaging with everyone on the panel.
What about phone interviews?
Those can be tricky.
They are. It's hard to know how you're coming across.
The most important thing is to find a quiet place.
Where you can focus.
No distractions. No dogs barking or kids screaming in the background.
Uh-huh, right?
And smile while you're talking, even though they can't see you.
Does that really make a difference?
It does. It makes your voice sound more friendly and engaging.
Okay, I'll try to remember that next time I have a phone interview.
Okay, what about video interviews?
Oh yeah, those are becoming more and more common.
They are, especially with remote work.
What are your tips for those?
First of all, make sure you have a professional-looking background.
Like a plain wall or a tidy bookshelf?
Exactly. No dirty laundry piles or messy kitchens in the background,
Ha ha ha.
right? And dress as you would for an in-person interview.
From head to toe.
Yes, even though they can only see your top half.
Dressing professionally can boost your confidence.
Absolutely. And speaking of confidence,
Yeah.
what if you get a question that completely stumps you?
Oh, that's the worst.
Don't panic.
Take a deep breath.
Ask for clarification or take a moment to gather your thoughts.
It's better to pause for a few seconds than to blurt out something that doesn't make sense.
Exactly. Okay, now let's talk about salary negotiations.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It can be, especially in a new culture.
How do you even know what's appropriate to ask for?
Well, first you need to do your research.
Research.
Yes, find out what the typical salaries are for your industry and experience level in Sweden.
Are there any websites that can help with that?
Yes, websites like Glassdoor and LinkedIn Salary can be helpful.
Okay, so once you know what you're worth,
Then you can negotiate
Yes.
accordingly.
and in Sweden, it's generally acceptable to discuss salary expectations during the interview process.
It is, so don't shy away from the topic.
But be prepared to justify your expectations.
Based on your skills and experience.
Okay, so we've talked about job interviews and salary negotiations.
We have.
But what about networking?
Oh, networking is essential for job hunting in Sweden.
It is, but it's not just about attending formal events, right?
No, it's about building relationships with people in your field.
So how can someone who's new to Sweden start building their network?
Well, attending industry events and conferences is a good start.
You can also join professional organizations and online groups.
And don't forget about informational interviews
Reaching out to people on LinkedIn,
and asking for a quick chat to learn more about their career path.
that can be really valuable.
It's a way to get insider insights and advice from people who are already working in the field you're interested in.
Okay, so networking is key.
It is now, let's shift our focus to career change.
Career change.
Yes, we touched on this a bit earlier.
We did, but I think it deserves a deeper dive.
It's something that a lot of people consider at some point in their lives.
Whether they're new to Sweden or have been here for years.
What's interesting is that career change is often driven by a combination of internal and external factors.
Like what?
It could be a desire for greater work-life balance,
Or a shift in personal values.
or maybe you realize that your current profession no longer aligns with your passions or goals.
It could also be the changing demands of the job market
With technology disrupting certain industries.
and creating new opportunities in others.
Exactly. And while change can be scary,
It can also be really empowering.
it's a chance to reinvent yourself.
One of the things that holds people back from making a career change is the fear of starting over.
Yeah, I can understand that.
They worry about taking a pay cut or losing seniority.
Or not having the right skills or experience.
Those are all valid concerns.
They are, but it's important to remember that you're not starting from zero.
You have a lot to offer.
You bring a wealth of knowledge and skills from your previous career.
And from life in general.
And those transferable skills are often more valuable than you realize.
They are, Arbetsförmedlingen has great resources for identifying and articulating those skills.
That's key to making a successful career transition.
They encourage people to think about the core skills that underpin their previous roles.
Like communication, problem solving, leadership, teamwork, organization.
Those are skills that are in demand across a wide range of industries.
Exactly.
They had this great example of someone who had worked as a taxi driver for many years
The taxi driver.
and then transitioned into a career as a therapist.
Wow, that's quite a change.
It is, but when you think about the skills involved, you can see the connections.
Like what?
Both jobs require active listening
And empathy.
and the ability to build rapport with people from all walks of life.
And the ability to navigate complex situations.
It's about reframing your experiences.
And highlighting the skills that are relevant to the new field you're interested in.
And you don't have to figure this all out on your own.
That's true. Arbetsförmedlingen has career counselors who can help.
Oh yeah, they can.
They can assess your skills, explore different career paths, and develop a plan for making a successful transition.
It's great.
It is that kind of guidance and support can be invaluable.
Especially when you're feeling lost or overwhelmed.
Don't forget about networking.
Networking again.
Talking to people who are already working in fields you're interested in can give you real-world insights.
Those informal conversations can be just as valuable as formal job interviews.
They can help you make informed decisions about your career path.
Okay, so we've talked about finding the right job, getting hired.
And even changing careers.
Now I want to circle back to Ikigai.
Ikigai.
That intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for.
It's a lot to think about.
It is, but it's a powerful concept.
I agree. So how can someone discover their own Ikigai?
That's a great question. I think it starts with self-reflection.
Self-reflection.
Yes, think about your values, your interests, your skills.
What's important to you? What do you enjoy doing? What are you naturally good at?
Those are good questions to ask yourself.
Maybe write down your thoughts in a journal.
And don't be afraid to try new things.
Step outside your comfort zone, experiment with different activities or hobbies.
You might discover hidden passions or talents.
Once you have a better understanding of yourself, then you can start exploring different career paths.
Ones that align with your values, interests, and skills.
Talk to people who are working in those fields, do some research online, attend industry events.
Get a feel for what the work is really like.
And remember, Ikigai is not a destination.
It's a journey.
It's about continuously exploring, learning, and evolving.
So don't be afraid to make adjustments along the way.
As you gain new experiences and insights.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have. We've talked about interview tips, networking strategies,
Regional opportunities, cultural insights,
the concept of Ikigai.
and even the possibility of career change.
Hopefully you're feeling more informed and more confident about tackling the Swedish job market.
I think so. But before we say goodbye, I'd love to hear your final takeaway.
Your parting wisdom for our listeners. Well, my biggest takeaway is don't underestimate yourself. You have so much to offer.
I like that.
You bring a unique set of skills and experiences to the table.
And that's valuable.
It is be open to new possibilities.
Okay.
Embrace the challenges.
Yeah, embrace the challenges.
And remember, you have the power to create your own success story here in Sweden.
That's a great message. It's not about fitting into a mold. It's about bringing your whole self to the table.
Exactly. And finding a career that truly aligns with who you are.
And what you want to achieve.
And remember, the Swedish job market is dynamic and diverse.
It is.
There are opportunities out there for everyone.
Regardless of your background or experience level.
So don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone, try new things.
Network with people in different fields.
You never know where those connections might lead you.
That's true. Now, before we wrap things up, I wanted to mention one more resource that Arbetsförmedlingen offers.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Their career guidance services.
Oh, yes, those are great.
Tell me more.
They have career counselors who can provide personalized guidance and support.
Throughout your job search journey.
Yes, it's like having a personal coach in your corner.
Helping you navigate the ups and downs of job hunting.
Exactly. They can help you assess your skills, explore different career paths,
Identify training opportunities.
even practice your interview skills.
That sounds incredibly valuable, especially for someone who's feeling lost or overwhelmed.
It is, and it's all free.
Wow, that's amazing. I wish I had known about that when I first moved to Sweden.
Well, hopefully our deep dive has given you the knowledge and resources you need.
To feel confident and empowered as you start your job search.
Exactly.
I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about today.
We've covered interview tips, networking strategies,
Regional opportunities, cultural insights,
the concept of Ikigai.
and even the possibility of career change.
We talked about the importance of tailoring your application materials, showcasing your transferable skills.
Researching salary expectations and using the resources that Arbetsförmedlingen offers.
And most importantly, we emphasize the power of perseverance, adaptability, and positive attitude.
Because even though the job search can be challenging,
It can also be an opportunity for growth and self-discovery.
and ultimately finding a career that brings you both financial stability and a sense of fulfillment.
Well said.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Swedish job market, I just want to say to our listeners,
Yes.
believe in yourself, stay persistent, and embrace the journey. You've got this.
And remember, we're always here to support you.
If you have any questions or need further guidance, don't hesitate to reach out to us or to Arbetsförmedlingen.
Happy job hunting, everyone.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.